From one Disney Plus show to another. Yeah, Ahsoka just wrapped up a couple days ago. It was my last video. And now we're going from Star Wars right next door to Marvel. It's time to talk about some Loki, so spoiler warning. This video is gonna be me talking about what happens in this first episode in detail. So if you haven't watched it yet and you're planning on it, I would advise not to watch the rest of this video. If you have watched it or you don't care, I recommend you do watch the rest of this video. Alright, spoiler warning is done. Let's dive into this glorious purpose. Loki Season 2. So, Loki Season 2 is officially the 9th season of TV in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the second TV season in its Phase 5, part of the Multiverse Saga. It's the 4th installment so far in Phase 5, the 20th installment overall so far in the Multiverse Saga, and as far as the official canon of the MCU is concerned, it's the 43rd installment. And of course, well, it's the second season of Loki, which actually that means it's the first season within the MCU to be a second season of a show, officially speaking. Phew, that's a lot of numbers. Loki Season 2 springboards right off the end of Loki Season 1. We remember at the end of Season 1, Loki and Sylvie met He Who Remains at the Citadel at the end of time. There was a big old kerfuffle and Sylvie ended up knocking Loki back into the TVA, and then she killed He Who Remains. Officially opening up Marvel's multiverse, Loki, now back in the TVA, comes across Mobius, who suddenly doesn't remember who Loki is, and now it seems like the TVA might just be under new leadership, some variant of Kang the Conqueror. So as if that wasn't enough to deal with, Loki now has a new problem. He seems to be slipping in and out of different points in time at random moments, and so we gotta fix that, all the while hunting down Sylvie again, and finding out exactly what the hell happened to the Time Variance Authority. And so the season kicks off, pretty much answering right away how Mobius doesn't know Loki at the end of Season 1, because Loki pretty much starts time slipping immediately. It turns out that when Sylvie kicked Loki back into the TVA, he ended up getting sent to some point in the past in the timeline of the TVA, obviously before he met Mobius, therefore explaining why Mobius doesn't know him here yet. And then he time slips back into the present, and now everyone knows him again. Alright, well, I guess that does seem kind of like an easy fix to that cliffhanger problem at the end of Season 1, you know? But I do like the fact that it's pretty much solving one problem with another problem. Yeah, Mobius now knows who he is, so that was done easy, but it's because of this time slipping thing. Alright, well, we gotta fix that now. Okay, fine. You know what? I'll let that slip. However, that does bring up a couple of logical questions that I have about this. Like, Loki is going back and forth between different points in time while still in the TVA, meaning that the TVA does have its own singular timeline. Yeah, Mobius said last season that time works differently in the TVA than it normally does, but now I don't really think that's true anymore. There is a past and there is a future. So really what I think Mobius meant by time works differently is aging works differently, because nobody ages in the TVA. Aging is different than time, just ask Yoda. So alright, whatever. I'll tell you one thing I really liked about this episode is that the humor actually landed with me, and I figured it's for a couple of reasons. One, I wasn't really expecting a lot of jokes, and two, the funny moments never lasted too long, which is a problem that a lot of MCU comedies these days do tend to have. This episode, no, it's just there's a funny moment, and then we move on. That actually really worked for me. Something about Owen Wilson's damn charming voice. When he's talking with that one guy about jet skis, I was like, jeez, that one guy who was sleeping during the meeting, that was funny. I actually laughed out loud quite a bit during this first episode here. So huge props to that, I was not expecting that. Moving on though, there's a moment where Loki stumbles across this recording and we hear the voice of Jonathan Majors. Turns out he's talking to Ravonna Renslayer. We remember her, the bitch from Season 1. So yeah, I guess she did end up finding whatever variant of Kang or He Who Remains this is. We remember in the comics, Kang and Ravonna Renslayer did actually have a romantic relationship. So I think it's pretty cool that it looks like that's where this seems to be going, from one recording of one little exchange of dialogue that we don't even see. But you know, he was like, I look forward to leading with you. I was like, shit, I guess we got that coming. Talk about a scary power duo. I do love though that when Mobius and Hunter B-15 go to that meeting, it's ultimately decided that the TVA will stop pruning, so that's great. No more innocent lives have to be lost. I'm glad they came to that decision. But that's when Loki reappears, and so he finally reunites with the Mobius who does know him. And yeah, Mobius is like, oh shit, what's going on with you? You're glitching out, dude. Alright, let's get you down to repairs and advancement. See if we can try to fix this little problem here. And so they go, and this is where we meet the lovable Ouroboros, OB for short, played by the lovable Ki-Hai Kwan.
Nice to meet you, Loki.
Ouroboros. Ouroboros.
But he calls me OB.
Oh my god, he's so damn likable. Cause he has that naive quality about him. Again, something about his damn charming, high squeaky voice. How can you not instantly love this character? Seriously. Like, it's no wonder this episode is named after him because he steals the entire thing. But also, this scene ends up being really important cause Loki time slips to the past, and so he's talking with Obi in the past, meanwhile Mobius is talking with Obi in the present, and this is where it's really made apparent that this is one singular timeline that we're going back and forth in here. Cause Loki's talking with Obi in the past, and in the present, Obi actually starts remembering the conversation that he had with Loki in the past. Meaning that both of these conversations are taking place within the same timeline, which goes against what Avengers Endgame taught us. This, whatever time travel is going on here within this episode anyway, it's not creating branches in time like a multiverse. It's affecting the singular timeline that Mobius is in. Which then, it kind of broke my mind. I was like, wait a minute. I don't think that would actually work. Would it? Because when Loki's talking with Obi in the past, does that mean that there are 2 points in time occurring simultaneously within the same timeline? Like, how does that work? Yeah, when you think about it like that, it doesn't really make any sense, at least not to me. But you know what? It's fiction, I'll roll with it. I can ignore that completely logical question that kind of tears the scene apart, because it was really cool seeing Obi in the present remember his past conversation. I like how that lined up. Really well edited there. And alright, let's just all be honest here. Upon seeing that door with the X-like design on it, who was not reminded of the door from X-Men? I swear, when they walked into that room, I was like, is this gonna be Cerebro? It's not, but that had to have been an intentional design. Totally reminded me of the door to Cerebro from the X-Men movies. The unfortunate thing about this episode for me in particular was when Obi is explaining to Mobius how to fix Loki's time-slipping problem. He's like, we need this tool to do something with the temporal loom, and all this tech talk was just rapid firing at me, cards on the table. It kind of lost me. Yeah, I got a bit confused. I'm not a left-brainer. I'm not that bright when it comes to science and engineering. So when the big whole intense thing is going down towards the end of this episode, I definitely felt the tension, that's for damn sure. But as far as the details of what exactly was going on there, I had no idea, I'll be honest. Yeah, I was watching it all like, I'm not following. The visual effects were great though. Even how Loki gets back, cause he time slips into the future, so he's like, oh fuck, I need to get back. But then he hears this phone ringing and he goes towards it all super slow like. I was like, dude, pick up the pace, we're on a mission here. But he's walking towards this phone, then we see Sylvie in an elevator trying to force the door open. I was like, what?
What's going on here?
She's like, there you are. And then next thing you know, Loki is getting pruned somehow by someone. I'm honestly not sure who did that. And then he's blasted back to where he was with Mobius and Obi. I was like,
I don't understand what just happened here.
is this how I'm supposed to feel? And then Loki's like, we need to find Sylvie. I was like, okay, so we're back to our main mission, hunting down Sylvie. All right, that makes enough sense. But then after that, we see Hunter B-15 come across all these hunters. They're leaving to go somewhere. And they're like, all this to hunt down Sylvie? I'm not buying that. So maybe there's some other agenda going on with these hunters. I'm not really sure what that's all about either. And that's where it cuts to credits. It left me like,
I'm so confused.
I do hope that all these things I don't understand will be explained further on in the season. Because if not, But then, there's a mid-credits scene. It's Sylvie arriving at an old Mickey D's in Broxton, Oklahoma in 1982. I know that McDonald's has some sort of partnering thing going on with Loki Season 2. We've seen it in the marketing. I just hope that it plays into the story, you know? And that the product placement isn't so in our faces. But yeah, what's she doing here? What's she gonna do? I guess we'll have to stay tuned to find out. So in the end, Loki Season 2 looks like it's gonna be off to a bit of a rough, confusing start for me. But you know, of course, we're just in the beginning of the season. Usually these Disney Plus shows don't really pick up until a few episodes into a season. Or at least that's how Ahsoka was, and that's still fresh on my mind. But I'm pretty sure it only gets better from here. You know, one thing that's really bothered me about these Disney Plus shows for a while now is the fact that they don't include sneak previews into the next episode. There's no like next time on Loki. Yeah, they've never done that. That's like a classic TV thing. Even HBO Max did that with Peacemaker. I wonder why Disney Plus doesn't do that. It bothers me. So, Loki Season 2, Episode 1, Ouroboros. Have you watched it yet? What are your thoughts on it? And what are your theories and predictions for next week's episode? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Loki! Peace!